Something that's been at the top of Georgia fans and probably the Georgia football program's wish list for what, about 6 years now, is bringing in a 5-star wide receiver to bolster the wide receiver room to be a star for Georgia. The last time they accomplished that was 2019 in that recruiting class with George Pickens. They get their wish this time. It's just in the form of a transfer in wide receiver, Zachariah Branch. And the take that I have, the topic that I want to talk about here in regards to Zachariah Branch is I think Georgia can make a mistake with him. And I think they need to avoid making that mistake, which is not using him. I think that this is a guy who needs the ball in his hands to be ultra effective. It's kind of like basketball, right? I just watched the NBA Finals. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's effective when the ball is in his hands. If the offense isn't running through him, he's not as effective of a player. That's the type of player Zachariah Branch is. He's not just let's try to get one big play. Let's try to get the ball in his hands for one or two plays. He's the type of player who can score. He's a threat to score a touchdown when the football is in his hands. I've seen enough of him at USC. I've seen enough going back online and watching what he could do at Bishop Gorman. This is a guy that has game-breaking speed, that has game-breaking explosiveness and playmaking ability, and he can score on special teams as well. He's the type of player that they need to feed somewhere between 5 and 12 times a game. Like that's legitimately the type of touches that I think Zachariah Branch needs in order for him to be the contributor that people are expecting him to be. So that's my intro. I apologize. This is not my studio. I will be back in my studio tomorrow with my good microphone equipment, with my better lighting and my backdrop, all of that. So this is what you got for this video. Stick with me and stick with us on dawgpost.com. Make sure you're checking out the site and all of that, the newsletter, just everything that you need to find is on dawgpost.com, our website. Ryan Curley talking about Zachariah Branch and how I think he needs the ball a good bit. At G-Day, he had one catch. Now, look, when you're watching a spring game, it is not 100% indicative of what your team is going to look like. It's not 100% indicative of what your offense is going to look like, especially when they are running plays that are catered to, okay, well, let's throw the ball. I mean, they threw the ball, I don't know what the percentage breakdown would be, but I'd say about 80% of the time they threw the ball at G-Day. And Zachariah Branch only had a couple targets. He had the one catch. It was a big one on a kind of a bad throw from Gunnar Stockton on a slot fade route. Branch turns around, comes back to the ball, makes a play on it, a contested catch that got that offense hype. You also saw the special teams ability, but we'll get to that. My point bringing up G-Day is he only had the one catch. Why is that not the most indicative thing? Two reasons. One, he was dealing with a lower body injury. He wasn't playing at 100%, and I don't think that they were using him in that way. He wasn't always out there on the field. They're getting the rotations in, so he wasn't being utilized the way he'd normally be utilized. Number two, it's the spring game, right? So it's just not going to be the real game script, right? When you combine those things together, it makes it a little bit more of a mystery how they're going to use Branch. But look, this is a guy, okay, Georgia runs a lot of screens. I'll put it this way. Georgia runs a lot of screen passes to fans' dismay, correct? This is the type of guy you want the ball in his hands on those. He scored on those plays at USC. And they're going to run those types of plays that are at near the line of scrimmage with Gunnar Stockton, who is a very good RPO quarterback, who you saw some of those plays against Texas where they got the ball to Oscar Delp out in the flat. They used to do that with Brock Bowers and Stetson Bennett. I think you're going to see those types of plays with a Gunnar Stockton, and I think you're going to see maybe flat routes, screen routes, plays on RPOs where Zachariah Branch gets the ball. You'll see him get the ball downfield too. If he beats a man downfield, he's got that type of speed. But I think where he'll do a ton of damage is when he gets the ball near the line of scrimmage or maybe within about 15 yards and let him do the work afterwards, because he's more dangerous with the ball in his hands than he's not. There are very, very good wide receivers who they're great before the ball gets to their hands, right? For whatever reason, the route running, the big catch ability, that George Pickens was good at catching the ball. He was a contested catch guy. He was a spectacular catch guy. Justin Jefferson, LSU, and now the Minnesota Vikings. Route runner extraordinaire, hands extraordinaire. Not necessarily the most elite guy after the catch, like a Jamar Chase, like a Jalen Waddle, right? That I'm not calling Zachariah Branch that because he's not exactly those players, but that type of playmaking ability and skill set is why Zachariah Branch is a special talent at wide receiver. Former 5-star, he's still just a junior, got some experience under his belt in the Lincoln Riley offense where he played with some pretty talented quarterbacks, one of them being Caleb Williams. And I think now he gets his chance to be more of a guy, right? I don't think that Georgia brought him over to just be someone they get the ball to 3 or 4 times. I think in that 6 to 12 range, he needs those touches. And he wasn't used to getting those touches at USC. So to me, like I said a few minutes ago at the beginning of this video, I think Georgia's mistake that they could make, that Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart could make here with Branch, is simply not getting him the football. Right? I know that there are a lot of mouths to feed on this offense. All of a sudden, a wide receiver room that felt like it was lacking talent and production has more names. It has Noah Thomas, who's going to command some touches. It has Colby Young, who I don't know if he'll be Georgia's most productive receiver, but he may be their most reliable guy. It's got Dylan Bell, who is entering year 4 for Georgia. They brought in his little brother because they care about Dylan Bell and they want him happy in this offense. And the guy who's very experienced in the SEC now and has been in a ton of big moments, has been in a national championship game, has been in SEC championship games, and a guy that I think has already shown some chemistry with new quarterback Gunnar Stockton. He's going to command touches. London Humphreys is a guy who can come in and get touches. Sokovie White, the tight ends are talented. I think that Georgia's running back room looks slightly improved from last year. So on paper, Georgia's offensive weapons seems like they're deeper, right? And that it'd be more difficult to spread the love. If Zachariah Branch is the talent that I'm projecting him to be, if he's the talent that everybody is projecting him to be, that ESPN has him as one of the 10 best transfer portal players, has him as one of the 2 or 3 best wide receivers in the transfer portal in the cycle, was a 5-star coming out of high school, right? The number 1 wide receiver in that 2023 class. If he is all of that, he's a ball. Okay? He's going to make an impact on special teams if he indeed is Georgia's primary return man, which it looked like he is. If you see Ajite, he was the guy returning the punts and the kicks first and foremost. And we know that he could be electric with that. He did it at the high school level. He's done it at the college level at USC. And now he's going to get a chance to do it for Georgia in the SEC. Those special teams plays are examples of how he can take anything to the end zone, right? Because 95-yard, 100-yard touchdowns, 70-yard touchdowns where he's weaving around. You saw 25-yard touchdowns. Big playability at USC. He's the type of player that needs the ball. I do think that Georgia's offense is going to be a little more run-heavy than it was in 2024. Why? It struggled in the run game last season, all right? Nate Frazier probably took way more touches than Kirby Smart wanted them to. ETN in and out of the lineup a little bit. Georgia's offensive line injured and inconsistent and largely underperformed. And every unit pretty much struggled, and that kind of toppled on top of themselves in terms of just struggling. I think that Georgia wants to run the ball better this year. I think they want to run the ball more this year. Gunnar Stockton, a dual threat quarterback, is probably going to make that a little bit easier. And I think you saw that in the second half of the Texas game in the SEC championship, how the run game really shifted once Gunnar Stockton got out there. They're going to want to run the ball more. That doesn't mean that Zachariah Branch can't get the ball at least a handful of times a game. If he has the big play ability, the I can strike and score from whenever, then he needs the ball in his hands. Even if it is on a jet sweep, even if it is on a screen pass, I think that a mistake would be to not utilize the talent that they have. George Pickens was utilized. Brock Bowers was utilized. Ladd McConkey was utilized. James Cook was utilized. Some of them may be a little underutilized. I think that'd be a mistake with Zachariah Branch, especially when, looks like a more talented wide receiver room, right? Looks like a more talented offensive weapon room. But we don't know 100% for sure how much better it's going to be. We know that Branch has been explosive at the college level so far. Now Georgia needs to make sure that that's the case for the Dogs. It'd be a mistake if Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart don't try to draw things up for him and make him a focal point of this offense. To me, he's that type of talent. It's just a matter if he's going to bring that type of production. What do you think? Do you agree with what I have to say? I feel pretty strongly about this take. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I appreciate you watching.